Look at that. That ECAC football for the football fest in the old days, but it's the bowls now. JB's got it there. You know what, JB? There's no talk today of NPI, thank God. There's no talk of, buys and not getting buys and everything else. We're talking about bowl selection. Teams that want to play one more game, that we have the names ready to go. One of those names may be the SUNY Morrisville Mustangs. Perhaps we'll get a minor reaction from them that they are live here with us in Morrisville right now. And guys, if you can hear us in some way, shape, or form, make sure to wave to us and let everybody know. That's awesome. We will be back with them soon to talk to head coach Ed Raby and discuss the situation for them, why they even want to be a part of the ECAC Bowls, and we'll see if they get selected later on in this show. But one more time, it is us this time telling you about the ECAC Bowl selections. Let's hit this. Again, I'm Frank Rossi, that's James Baker, and if you aren't sick of us yet, I know I'm sick of us at this point in time, JB, but we've got more exciting news for you. It's not a crunch time show yet. We'll get to that later in the week, and then we'll preview some bowl games, playoff games, and the rest of them. But we have to announce, thanks to the ECAC's commitment to us doing this each season, the ECAC Bowls. And we will tell you up front this year, 3 bowls. There will be 3 bowls announced on this show. So be ready for that here. I know that makes it a little bit more dramatic in some ways because some teams may think that they're in if there were 4, but they won't be if there's 3. And, there'll be a little bit of consternation for that fact, including for perhaps our first guest coming up in just a moment here. We'll get him all set up and ready to go. But first, JB, why do you have this commitment to this? We've done this for a few years, but you always hit me up. You're like, hey, we got to do this ECAC Bowl show. I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. But for you, what's your commitment to this? Why?
Well, I think it goes back to I think we've been doing this for close to 7-8 seasons now. And, there is something that's special for the graduating seniors and now in sort of the COVID era, the 5th years, to have that one last chance, that one last week of practice, that one last game, to have a chance to win an actual trophy and a banner and stuff. I appreciate the sort of the pomp and circumstance that the ECAC Bowls bring to bear. And honestly, Frank, what we've seen, as they say, imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery. Lots of other conferences across the country now are starting to do exactly what the ECAC's been doing for 10, 20 years now. Hobart played in an ECAC Bowl back in 2003. They played in a couple recently in 21. It's a great opportunity, and you see teams. Let's take this little prop here that we have. Grove City started off about 6 years ago. They were super excited about getting into these bowl games, and look what it's done for their program. They've won a bunch of ECAC titles as they built up, and now they are a perennial playoff, a conference co-champion. So these games are important, and they are things that programs and coaches can use to build a foundation for bigger and better success. It's don't want to say it's necessarily like a stepping stool, but in certain cases, obviously we all know that these are teams that didn't qualify for the national playoffs, but these are still championship caliber games against some great programs, lots of history, and it's just an exciting opportunity, particularly for the guys who are going to be calling it a career soon, to get one last chance to put on the pads, go out there and play with their brothers and maybe win a trophy and make memories that will last a lifetime.
Let's talk to one coach, as we said in the intro here, who put in for this exciting moment here. See if they'll get picked. Ed Raby, the head coach of SUNY Morrisville.
Hey, Coach.
And Coach, how are you today? And what are you thinking about this situation? Why did your team want to play in an ECAC Bowl game?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for letting me come on and talk to you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do for Division III football. I know my wife's a big supporter of your guys' show as well. She watches often. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, we always want to play an extra game. I think JB, you said it. The big thing is for the seniors, right? They get one more chance to go out, play with their brothers, and as a coach, this is about relationships. So another week with these guys, that's a big deal. I think for the younger guys, it allows them to see, what a championship caliber game is like. It also gives them an extra week of practice. So there's a lot of benefits to playing the extra game.
Absolutely. And coach, looking at what you guys, your season, you finish off on a 3-game winning streak. You have a chance to maybe finish off with a 4-game winning streak. Tell us, kind of give us an overview of sort of the ups and downs that you experience. I don't think there's any team that I've seen that have played in so many close games, both wins and some losses. But you guys have been super competitive all year. Tell us a little bit about the season and kind of where we are today.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty positive about our season. We had a good group of seniors. I'm going to keep saying it on the show, but our seniors were tremendous as far as leadership goes and work ethic. So coming into the season, we felt like we could have a pretty good year. We play a good schedule, and so I think early on we got off to a little bit of a slow start. We had opportunities to win a couple games that we felt we should have won, and just didn't. Those teams made a few more plays than we did. And I think after the Cortland game, I talked to the team and I said, guys, if we focus on doing what we need to do, execution, being the best version of ourselves and getting better every day, we can put ourselves in a position to get a bowl game. And that's exactly what our guys did. We got to work. I thought we were competitive against Brockport. They were a very good team. But the last 5 or 6 games of the year, we were playing at a very high level and we kept getting better every single week.
Absolutely.
Coach, I could tell firsthand that your team loves you. I've been out there before, obviously, when you guys were facing Catholic on the black turf last year. You have a very passionate fan base out there as well. So you're a great coach, great motivator, and we'll see what happens here. The season's been an interesting one on so many different facets and so many different conferences, yours being one of them, obviously. And congratulations on the success so far this season. If there's something else left here, we will be announcing it coming soon. Are you excited?
Very excited. Hope we get a chance.
Okay, we will see you perhaps later on in the show. And thank you again for helping us with this situation. Ed Raby, head coach at SUNY Morrisville. The Mustangs looking to go bowling here. So, JB, here's how it's going to work. We're going to basically name bowl by bowl, take a look at those bowls one at a time. And again, there will be 3 bowls that we're announcing here. And the kickoffs essentially are noon or at a change of time based on the host and the ECAC's discretion. I can say that out loud. There we go. But they'll be on Saturday, the 23rd. Essentially, these games will be played. We got to work on them to maybe get the little variation at times because now with the shorter schedule for Division One Week 1 playoffs with only 8 games, we could probably get some focus on these games on Fridays. Yeah, we'll see what we can do in the future, but this is new to everybody right now, what's been going on with the Division III. Okay. So, any thoughts, any final words of wisdom before we go to our first game?
No, me and wisdom probably don't, coexist too often, Frank. But like I said, I think there was a competitive, bid pool out there. I mean, obviously, like I said, there's been a lot of copycats, for bowl games across the country now. So things sort of pared down a little bit. But I think having seen some of these matchups, I think there's going to be some great games. And like I said, hey, it's a great opportunity for these programs to get that one extra week of practice. And the hardware, these ECAC trophies and the banners and all that are pretty cool. So it's a great opportunity for these kids to go play for a championship.
Okay, let's get rolling here. We're going to start with the 2024 ASA S Bushnell Bowl. This is generally the feature game that we're told every year. And when I look at these teams, I can see why. And some backstory coming up here with respect to this game in one of the teams. So we'll go here, and here we go. The 2024 ASA S Bushnell Bowl will be for Alfred University at Western Connecticut State University. So basically, when you look at these records, JB, it is 8-2 for WestCon and 7-3 for Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred with a kind of surprising ending this season. We'll take a look at that in a second, but they finished with a win versus Brockport team that obviously their starting quarterback, Ben Gasella, had been injured at the end of the Cortland game. So you can't take away that big win from Alfred in that situation. So the Saxons are going bowling against WestCon, who Joe Loth, I always mess up his last name, but Coach has done such a great job with WestCon, and it was such a narrow game against UMass Dartmouth for the MASCAC title, essentially, out there. They were down by, 21, came back to take the lead, eventually did lose that game, but they're going to get another game here to prove themselves to the whole D3 nation here at 8-2. On their way out the door from the MASCAC, though, they are going to the Landmark next season. And so, we'll see what they're able to do with this game. What are your thoughts as we start to look at the win-loss records of these two teams?
Well, Alfred's been on a bit of a roll. They have won 4 straight to wrap up their season. I mean, they did have those, a couple losses there in October. But they started off the year pretty strong. I thought they were going to beat Hobart in that first week 1 game. They led almost the entire time, and it wasn't until kind of a quick comeback there at the end that the Statesmen were able to pull it out. But the Saxons, this is their best year that they've had win-wise, dating back to 2018. If they win this bowl game, that will match their best record since 2017. It's been a great year for the Saxons, and I'm sure they're looking to build on this. And for WestCon, I mean, you can see here they lost in week 1, but then they rattled off 6 wins in a row, and basically the only reason they missed the playoffs was because they lost by 11 points to an undefeated conference champion in Mass Dartmouth. So real high quality team here in the Wolves. You can see from the scores they can put up a lot of points. Alfred's defense features a linebacker with one of the best names I've heard in Joe Kopp, so he's going to have to try to arrest the Wolves offense. Dad joke number 1. There's more to come, people. This should be a great a matchup of the Saxons' tough defense versus this high-powered WestCon offense that we got to see a little bit in the playoffs last year, and we've kept track of all this season. They are a very strong team. This is a great matchup.
So again, the ACES Bushnell Bowl, Alfred at WestCon coming up on Saturday. That's number 1. So here we go. We've got bowl number 2 to announce right now. And this bowl is known as the 2024 Clayton Chapman Bowl. There's some irony in this game when you think about it. And so here we go, ladies and gentlemen, your 2024 Clayton Chapman Bowl. See if this matchup it seems familiar to you, JB, from days gone by. Be courageous in your discussion on this, perhaps. Rochester at Brockport, basically,
Wow.
we've got the flip of, the Courage Bowl scenario and everything else, the handoff between teams and everything else. But, Rochester at Brockport here, crosstown, essentially. They have not been playing each other, though, despite that non-conference. That might change in the near future, but this year it's a fresh matchup between an Empire 8 foe of Brockport hosting Rochester. The Garbage Plate Bowl, perhaps we should be calling this one, but it's the Clayton Chapman Bowl.
Garbage plate.
I had one recently when I went up to see Brockport.
You did.
But SUNY Brockport at 7-3, Rochester 6-4. What a great job Chad Martinovich has done to get that team to 6-4. They made some noise. Obviously, their league, win-loss record doesn't reflect it at 2-4. But they start the season essentially at 5-0.
Yeah, and this is unfortunately a team that got bit pretty bad with the injury bug around week 7 or 8. They lost Dan Papadonis. They're basically, I think, the best rushing running back they've ever had, or at least in the most recent years. Against Hobart, they started a 4th-string quarterback. They're down to some bare bones here. So they have struggled in the last couple of weeks with all the injuries. But it was funny. I was texting with Coach Chad, who I know from my Hobart days, and he was like, I'm not sure if we're going to get in or not. And I was like, well, I think there's a chance. And he's like, yeah, I mean, our guys are pretty banged up, but I think it would be really great if they get one more opportunity to play. I'm like, well, we'll see. And so here we go. They get a chance. It's a short trip. Maybe they wanted to go out of state or something, get some recruits. But hey, it's also fun to have a little bit of a backyard brawl and some local bragging rights here. And yeah, with the Liberty League and Empire 8 going to start to resume some of their non-conference scheduling next season, I believe. This is a great way to kick that off for some talk there. And then looking at the Golden Eagles, a couple of losses down the stretch which were tough, and they narrowly lost to Susquehanna. This is a really strong team, also battling some injuries, which is what we talked about with the loss to Alfred there in Week 11. But would be a nice nice consolation, I guess you could say, for them to finish off the year with 8 wins. It would match their record from last year, also match their record from 21. So this is a Brockport team that's used to being kind of at the top of the Empire 8. And Rochester is trying to raise their program to being at the top of the Liberty League, and so should be a good contest between pretty local rivals and teams that will likely see each other in the future.
So once again, the Clayton Chapman Bowl for 2024 is the University of Rochester at SUNY Brockport. And we'll wish them well out there, again, cross town. So not much travel to go with it, but a great game they're going to both get to play. And that the experience, you can't underestimate the experience value in something like that. Okay, JB, we have one game left here, and let's get ready here. It's a really interesting matchup to me. When I saw this come out, I was amused by certain aspects of it, and you'll see why in a second, folks. But overall, I think this is going to really be a test for both teams. I think both teams will grow from this 2024 Robert M. Scotty Whitelaw Bowl. So without further ado, let's talk about who is in the Scotty Whitelaw Bowl for 2024. Stevenson at Morrisville. And let's take a look here about who is in the Scotty Whitelaw Bowl for 2024. I think that reaction says everything right there. Stevenson at 5-5 in the MAC. 5-4 in the MAC. Morrisville 6-4, 5-2. Coach smiling over there as well. Coach, we'll come back to you in a couple of seconds here after some of the pandemonium dies down. Perhaps we can get a team. So perhaps we can get a team representative to join us as well in this. So let's just stay tuned with us. We'll kind of kill that noise for a second there, JB. Go back to you and me for a second as we're going to have a discussion here about these two teams. And look, the records don't reflect, I think, the quality of teams they are this season, and it's the Mustangs versus the Mustangs. That's the funniest part of this to me. As I'm doing these slides, I'm like, wait a minute, I screwed up. I've got two horses heads, obviously got the same team. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're both the Mustangs. And there it is.
They're both the Mustangs.
It is Stevenson and Morrisville. Give us a little bit of thought on this game ultimately. Let's start with Stevenson, who beat Del Val after a struggle this season. And here, we'll take a look at it right now. They start 0-2 and then beat Del Val, win 4 straight, and then run into trouble, losing 3 of their last 4. I got to think that this is a quality situation for them to want to bounce back at the end of a season that's just been so topsy-turvy.
Yeah, it has, and they're coming off 7 and 8 win seasons in the last couple of years, and so this a little bit of a disappointment for them. But this is a capable team. I mean, they, like you said, they knocked off Del Val, and they've been competitive all year. Even look at that Kings score. I mean, that's a pretty close game, and Kings was the conference champion. So I wouldn't sell Coach Huddle's Mustang short. This should be a good battle. I know that they'll likely be excited to come upstate and make the trip to the black turf, and it should be a fun one.
And there's the black turf. We did the black background there in their honor of the black turf with a little bit of green outline for them. But SUNY Morrisville, we did talk about it briefly. We'll have Coach on in a second. But what are your other thoughts on Morrisville in this type of game?
Well, I think, if you look at their last 3 games, you can see that their defense has picked it up a notch. I mean, they've played in some close ones, like, that Utica win was a good one where their defense had to do a last second, 2-point play stop there, and, beating Alfred by 10 is impressive. So yeah, like they struggled early on, like Coach Raby said, but they picked themselves up. They won 5 out of their last 6 games. And could really end on a really high note here. So they were 7-4 back in 22, and before that they were 2-8, 6-5. So there haven't been a whole lot of 7-win seasons for them, and that's partially why Coach Raby came over there, was to start building this program up and to make them more competitive. And his track record has shown that. I know last year was a bit of a dip, but they have this potential to be year in and year out one of the top teams in the Empire 8.
Coach, you heard my partner talk about your accolades, and obviously you value his opinion on this stuff. But first off, what a great reaction from that team. That's a team that wants to play another game. There's no doubt about that. And, tell about your own emotions at this point, how it feels.
I'm just proud of our guys. I mean, I'm excited for our kids. I mean, like I said, the senior class and the rest of our team too. But we have a very close team. We're a team that. Sorry, I got somebody calling me.
It's fine. They're celebrating.
Yeah. We're a team that's very, very close, and so it's just to get one more week together is such a special thing. Such a special thing. I'm so excited for these guys and excited to get back on the practice field with them.
Coach, what do you know about the other Mustangs? The irony is we're going to have the Mustangs versus the Mustangs here. Ed Huddle's got a great team. You know that. It doesn't matter if they're 5-5 or 10-0 or 0-10. They come out to fight at all points. They've got some great recruiting they've got going on down there in Maryland. So tell us your thoughts on playing such a quality program.
Well, I don't know much about their team. As far as like watching them this year, I haven't seen any film on them or anything like that. I know that they're a very good program. I actually remember when I was a young coach that they started their program and how they built that program up. So I know that they're going to be a very good team. I remember they beat Del Valle early in the year, saw that score. I'm always looking at the scores after each week. So they're going to be a good challenge, and I know they're going to be talented. Down in Maryland, used to recruit down there when I was at Allegheny, and there's a lot of good football players down there. So they'll give us everything. I'm sure they'll be ready to play.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
A young coach. He's talking about being a young coach.
Come on.
Yes, exactly. My goodness.
Maybe coaching might be like dog years, Frank. I don't know. It's a 24/7, 365 type deal.
That's for darn sure. JB, any thoughts or questions before we head up?
Just want to make sure, Coach, that no heat exhaustion emergencies on the black turf since you installed it. I'm pretty sure that whole thing kind of just blew over and it was no big deal. It was funny. I actually got a message from.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Everyone, told me we didn't care about player safety and all that kind of stuff. No, the black turf's amazing. Anyone that's played on it will attest to it. It's not any hotter. It's a great facility, and in my opinion, it's the best turf in America.
It was fun being there, like I said, last year and looking at it. Yep, and there's still green in the black, for those that don't understand. It's not just plate black, basically. It's other things, too. But, Coach, congratulations. Send our best to your team. Safe travels down. Actually, it's the other way around, isn't it, here? I'm just trying to get my own bearings here. Yeah, but they're going to come play on the black turf, so they're going to see it for themselves at that point in this game. But, the funny thing is I look back at my slide and I see 2 horses' heads, and I can't still distinguish whose is whose ultimately on my slide. So that's, why I get it confused. But nonetheless, you are hosting, so safe travels to Stevenson coming up to you, and enjoy the extra game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
And as we said, that is Ed Raby from the good old school of SUNY Morrisville. JB, let us recap quickly here for those just joining us, the 3 bowls and who will be playing in them and how here. Here we go. As again, the Asa S. Bushnell Bowl was Alfred University 7-3, 5-2 in the Empire 8 at Western Connecticut. I can say it. I swear today I would get it right once. Western Connecticut State University, or WestCon. I see why they do that now. At 8-2 overall, 8-1 in the MASCAC. Again, their final season in the MASCAC. They will be going to the Landmark next year. The 2024 Clayton Chapman Bowl, University of Rochester at 6-4 at 7-3, SUNY Brockport, the Garbage Plate Bowl, the Rochester Bowl, the Clayton Chapman Bowl, we'll call it officially here. Yeah, I like that too. Very good. And then finally, the 2024 Robert M. Scotty Whitelaw Bowl is Stevenson University at 5-5, 5-4 in the MAC, and at SUNY Morrisville, 6-4, 5-2 in the Empire 8.
You know what I just also realized, Frank? The even bigger irony, other than the mascot, is that the school color schemes are almost identical too. Black, green. I think Stevenson does work in some silver jerseys sometimes as well. So it's funny you have like two of the same mascots with the same school color with green. It's kind of ironic. So it should be a good game though. And when you pull up the video with the black turf, it's gonna look extra fun too.
So out of those three, if you had to pick out what you think is gonna be the closest game, and that's a tough one here. These are good matchups, and they line them up to be good matchups. They don't line them up as kind of like high seed to low seed scenario. Against each other. How would you line this up if you had to pick closest game, basically, out of those three? Again, I know that's a spontaneous answer you're going to come up with here, so go ahead.
Well, I think it might be what we've been talking about. Stevenson and Morrisville. I think they're pretty evenly matched. In the Alfred WestCon game, even though Alfred's defense is strong, I could see WestCon's offense getting on a roll and piling up some points potentially. We'll see. I do feel like both of these teams have had sort of similar years and have won some close ones, have lost some close ones. They've beaten some teams that some people would have thought would have been like an upset. So they have that that ability to win any given Saturday. So I think this would probably be the closest one, I would think. We'll have to see with the other two how those shake out. But I think early on, my biggest concern for the Rochester Brockport game is how healthy are these teams? With backup quarterbacks and other injuries going on. We'll have to wait and see there. Because the Rochester team that played Hobart last weekend was not 100% for sure, and it showed. Brockport, obviously, without their starting quarterback, was a different team. So that could be an interesting game from a maybe more of a defensive battle perspective. And then, last but not least, the number one, the Bushnell Bowl has always been sort of there.
Look at the scoring these two teams do, JB. This is going to be like testing the lights, I think, in this game.
I think so too. Yeah, this game could end up being close, but it'll be like 45-38 kind of close game,
On a slow day, perhaps. WestCon can hit 70 and 60, and so can Alfred in the 50s several times, I think, this season they had.
Yeah, and I think, back call me crazy here, but I'm just looking I'm looking at, on my weather app. So, this weekend in Connecticut looks pretty nice, like 40 degrees on Saturday. Upstate New York, I think, at least from what I have here from Geneva, it's going to be 40 something, a little cooler, but not much, So Alfred and Brockport, at Rochester, that game won't be in the snow or in the rain or any of that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be cool, 40-degree kind of chillier temperatures, but no real weather problems to worry about. So I think it'll just be sort of a perfect day for a football game.
Well, we want to thank everybody associated with the ECAC, including Dylan, for always getting us what we need here to make this show happen. We got him nice and early this time, so we were able to get all the pre-work done and ready to go without sweating too much, but it's always a little bit of a last second, we forgot this, we forgot that, but Dylan's always great to get us what we need. want to thank Ed Raby over at Morrisville for helping us get together that great live shot of his team celebrating, especially, and to talk with him on both sides of the pre-selection and the post-selection. I want to thank you for watching, as always. And to all the teams that are going bowling, congratulations to those not selected. Unfortunately, we couldn't get everybody in this go-around, but you had great seasons. Everybody that wanted to be a part of this, continue building, because next year, maybe we're naming your name on the Sunday show, where you're in the NCAAs, or the Monday show, where we're naming the ECAC Bowl bids. But, just keep growing, because look at that team named Cortland. Nobody really saw it coming, that national championship. And they had played in some ECAC Bowl games over time and stuff like that. So they did learn from postseason opportunities, not always the NCAA playoffs in those situations. Folks, I just want to thank my co-host over here, my partner in crime, James Baker. As always, we've had a heck of a run the last few days going on. We still have a crunch time show to get to you midweek, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to get a little bit of rest here after almost non-stop goings-on Twitter and on here. So thanks again for joining us, and we will see you throughout the week, and then we'll see you when you go bowling on Saturday, November 23rd. Enjoy those ECAC Bowls, everyone.